Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to welcome you to this session where we'll be exploring how AI-driven threat detection and managed SOC services are transforming cybersecurity strategies for organizations of all sizes. If you have any questions throughout the session, then please drop them into the Q&A or the chat panel. I think the button's at the top, so you'll just need to click that and it should come out on the right-hand side. And we'll look to either pick them up as we're going or we'll cover them off in the Q&A at the end of the session. Today's session is all about cutting through the noise. So we're here to show you how the combination of Seceon's intelligent real-time threat detection platform and our own Exertis managed SOC services is helping businesses not only improve visibility, but respond faster and also simplify their cybersecurity operations without needing to stitch together half a dozen tools. So let's get started. So on today's session, we have myself, Director of Sales and Alliance at Exertis Cybersecurity. We have Tom Ertel, SVP Technical Sales and Strategic Accounts from Seceon. And we have Geoff Towns, Head of Commercial and Professional Services Delivery at Exertis Enterprise. So welcome, guys. Great to have you here today. So let's get started with maybe how we're all feeling across the channel. I have many conversations with partners on a regular basis, and it feels like there's definitely some confusion. So the cybersecurity landscape is crowded, to say the least. EDR, MDR, NDR, XDR, SIEM and SOAR, so lots of acronyms that are being flown around at the moment. And there's many organizations that are juggling multiple tools from multiple vendors, often with little to no integration between them. Each one solves a specific problem, but collectively they're creating a very complex and disjointed ecosystem that's tough to manage and even tougher to optimize and almost impossible to secure effectively without a full-time security team. According to Hiscox's UK Cyber Readiness Report, only 42% of UK organisations actually feel confident they're adequately protected against a cyber attack. And a major reason for that is exactly what we're going to talk about today, which is tool sprawl. So in fact, a recent report that was run by Osterman Research found that the average mid-size organisation uses between 15 and 25 different security tools, with many of them lacking the skills or the bandwidth to make them work together. And the real kicker out of all of the statistics was that 85% of those that were surveyed said they experience alert fatigue or miss critical incidents because of the volume of the noise that's coming through. So we're sort of entering an era where more tools doesn't necessarily mean more security. It often means more confusion, more gaps, and definitely more manual processes that need to take place. And what you're really seeing on the screen now with EDR, MDR, and all the other acronyms are the buzzwords that are being sold in isolation. And the truth is that they're only effective when they're operationalized under what we're going to look at today, which is a unified intelligent security strategy. Let's start with EDR. So EDR is a great first step for a business to take when moving from traditional AV. It gives companies the ability to look at suspicious activity on laptops, servers and devices, and it allows them to isolate or remediate threats, which is great. It's really good at spotting malware and ransomware and insider threats on the actual device. But the real issue with EDR is that it's only seeing what's happening on the endpoint. So if the attack is moving laterally through the network or exploiting cloud misconfigurations, EDR is not actually going to detect that. In fact, 68% of successful breaches in 2024 involve the network or cloud, which is essentially where EDR becomes blind. Next, we have NDR, which provides visibility across network traffic, both internal and external. It's there to detect things like command and control activity, lateral movement, or exfiltration. And it's really the ideal partner for EDR. If you think as EDR as securing the doors and windows, then NDR is definitely the motion sensor within the building. But like EDR, NDR is just another lens, and it needs to be correlated with other data to tell the full story. Next, we have organizations that are invested in SIEM and SOAR. SIEM is essentially pulling the logs and the alerts from the tools that you have. So anything like a firewall, an endpoint, network or cloud, and it's giving organizations that central repository to search and correlate the threats. The SOAR element then adds the automation into that. So that's essentially triggering workflows, opening tickets, or even executing a response when something goes wrong. And really, the idea behind SIEM and SOAR is extremely powerful. It's building a brain that sees everything and reacts automatically. But the reality is most organizations certainly don't have the time, the expertise or the headcount to manage SIEM and SOAR properly. And particularly in the UK, more than 60% of SIEM users say that they face alert fatigue on a daily basis, and nearly half of those report that their SOAR platform is underutilized due to the complexity. So for many, it's like buying a Ferrari and keeping it in the garage. MDR is emerged as a solution to the complexity to the problem, though. Instead of building your own SOC, you outsource it. With MDR, you're essentially hiring a third-party team to monitor your environment 24/7. They're investigating threats on your behalf and they're guiding your response. It's a natural evolution from EDR. In fact, many MDR services are built around that, but here's the limitation. MDR providers vary massively in their capabilities, and many are still heavily reliant on the alerts from EDR or specific individual tool sets. So whilst you get the human eyes, you don't always get the complete coverage, especially across other parts of the infrastructure like cloud, identity, and network layers. And then finally, we have XDR. So think as XDR as the industry's attempt to pull all of the capabilities that we've just talked about into one unified platform. It's ingesting the data from the endpoints and the network and the cloud. It's correlating everything together into one threat picture. And done right, XDR reduces the complexity significantly and improves the detection accuracy as well. But the catch, however, is most XDRs are vendor bound, meaning that you need to buy all the tools from one ecosystem, which is fine if you're starting from scratch, but hard if you're already invested in multiple systems, which is where the majority of us are. So where does that leave us? All of these tools offer a tremendous amount of value and they don't replace each other. No one single gives you complete protection on its own, which is why today many businesses that we're speaking to are moving towards a SOC-led, AI-powered managed service that brings all of this together seamlessly, continuously, and without the operational burden. And as I said, this is exactly what we're here to talk about today. So modern security operations centers or SOCs bring all of this together for you. So we're looking at 24/7 threat detection and response. We're looking at unified visibility across the estate, automated threat containment, expert-led human analysis, and that continuous improvement through the threat intelligence that's collected. With a SOC-based service like we're going to showcase today from Seceon and Exertis, you're no longer simply reacting to alerts, but you're proactively hunting threats, neutralizing them automatically, and improving the security posture over time. So whether you're using an EDR tool or an XDR platform or something else, the real leap forward is not just in the technology, but in the operationalizing the technology through the management and also the intelligence services as well. So really with that context in mind, I'm now going to hand over to Tom, who's now going to dive a little bit deeper into how Seceon and Exertis are delivering exactly that, which is an AI-driven threat detection SOC as a service that's accessible, scalable, and built for today's threat landscape. So Tom, over to you.
Thanks, Dominic. Everybody, can you hear me well?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, next slide, please. So I'm going to try to give you a flavor for the XDR platform that both Exertis and Seceon are offering here today. Hopefully this flavor will give you a desire to maybe go a little deeper, see a little bit more. So as Dominic alluded to, there's lots of challenges out there for folks like yourselves. I mean, one of the ones he mentioned, which is the data overload and alert fatigue, obviously, very prevalent and almost impossible to deal with now. There's so much information being ingested. So we'll talk about that and how you can overcome that. Another key one here, lower left, I go to a lot of shows, and a lot of the feedback is there's the proliferation of security tool sets. I mean, there are different tools for just about every piece of functionality, but once you have them, how do you correlate all that data, right? How do you decide if what my EDR is telling me and my NDR is telling me and my SOAR is telling me, all those different pieces, how does it relate? And is this something I need to deal with, right? So that's something we're going to talk about as well. All these pieces, continued compliance, regulatory compliance, growth needs. So there's all these different challenges. And one of the big ones here actually is the ability to staff, right? There aren't enough people out there to fill all the positions needed to do the monitoring, do the detection and response and so forth. So, you're going to need to look at a tool like this to actually help you with supplement that staffing. Next, please. So I want to get some definitions on the table here, because I think this is important. Again, I just came back from a conference last week, and every single booth and every single presentation used the word AI, right? So it's overused. It's probably a bit confusing. So I just wanted to define it from our perspective, okay? So most people's perspective of AI is ChatGPT and Claude AI and different large language model solutions. We have some of that in the platform, and I'll show you a little bit, but that's not the basis for the artificial intelligence in our platform. 10 years ago, when we developed this platform, the definition of artificial intelligence was simply a piece of software that was written to make the quickest possible decision, much faster than a human could, and the best possible decision. Think about a self-driving car with cameras and sensors all around it. There's AI in that car that's deciding if you're too close to the car in front of you, if you need to switch lanes. So it's making quick decisions so you don't get in an accident, right? That's what we mean when we say AI. Machine learning is actually the collecting of, incredible amounts of data and then parsing that and putting it into, usable information. So maybe putting it in a common language and putting it in a usable format. So we use machine learning to collect data from all the different sources. We use our artificial intelligence to look at that data and make the best possible decision as quickly as possible. Next slide, please. Okay, so one of the things that Dominic alluded to was this proliferation of tool sets, lots of different platforms, the SIMs, the SOARs, the EDRs. Our goal was to put all that in a single platform. And one of the words that I like to use continuously is correlation, right? So when you have multiple platforms, you have to correlate all of that intelligence from all those different solutions yourself. You have to do it, with humans. By putting it all on a single platform, we basically do the correlation for you. Okay, that's all done in software in real time. So you've got, you can see all the different pieces, EDR, embed, SOAR, cloud security, container security. All of this is built into a single platform. It's not bolted on. It was all architected from the ground up and designed, in-house. So you get all this functionality in a single platform. So what do you get for that? If we look to the right here, we can see you get very comprehensive visibility. I'm going to show you some screenshots of the platform in a few minutes here, but basically the platform will show everything is collected. You can go look at, right? When you get alerts, it'll show you all the data that's related to that alert, and you can actually go dig deeper. You can go into what we call our threat hunting and actually look for any particular event you want to see. The goal of the platform and any platform should be detect things as early as possible, right? So I talked about the fact that we use machine learning, we collect all that data. An important thing to note here is we basically build a behavioral model for every host in your environment, right? We learn typical behaviors, when you log in, where you log in from, what servers you talk to, what size files you copy and so forth. By doing that, the platform can then look for differences, okay? It can say, okay, Dominic logged in at 3:30 in the morning today instead of his usual 7:30. Okay, that's not an alertable offense, but it's something worth watching, right? And we'll continue to add to that. So that's a big part of this, that machine learning, collecting that data, that AI analyst looking at it and saying, okay, is this something I need to deal with? So Another important part of the platform is if when you detect things early, actually now taking action. Okay, so the platform gives you the ability to remediate. You can go out to firewalls and block access to IPs. You can go out to your Active Directory and shut down accounts. You can go back into your EDR and quarantine a file or a host. So the ability to take those remediation steps is very important. The platform will let you do it manually. You can also do it automatically, right? Which is really important. Once you get comfortable, you can say, when I see a potential ransomware attack, don't wait anymore. Basically, you'll take action right away. I can go back later and decide if I want to undo that. We've also added SOAR, which I won't be able to show you today, but the ability to write playbooks around every type of alert. So if you have a compromised credential, you can write a playbook to say, here's the steps I want to happen every time I get one of those. I want to assign it to someone. Maybe I want to notify the customer, and then I want to take action. Lastly, at the bottom here, your continuous compliance. So this is a very important point these days. Compliance needs are growing. New standards are evolving, or the existing standards are changing. So the ability to keep up with those, the ability to track your compliance to those, and actually maybe alert you if you're out of compliance. Next slide, please. Okay, so now this is sort of a summary of everything I said, right? This is showing you sort of the flow of information to the system. And an important point here, across the top, you can see we want to collect every possible piece of information we can get. And, one thing that I didn't really talk about here is something called net flows. Everybody collects logs, right? Every platform in the world collects logs. We also collect real-time telemetry called net flows, which basically is an encapsulation of every single transaction. Anytime your PC talks to a server, that information is transferred to us, and we learn, okay, what time it happened, how much data was copied, and so forth. So along with logs, we can also create a real time happening in your environment. And that's very important in terms of being able to detect things early. Now, the challenge with that is that's a lot of information, right? So instead of just getting your logs, now you're getting, it's probably another 3 or 4 times, if not more, the information that you have to collect. A lot of the solutions out there charge based on ingested data, right? So that's one of the reasons they don't collect the net flows, is that's going to jack the price up, which is already high enough. This solution is priced based on per asset or per user, okay? For the intent purpose that we don't want you to limit what you ingest, right? We don't want you to take in less information because it's going to cost you too much. We want to see everything. So that pricing it per asset and per user, doesn't limit you from pulling in sources, all your different sources, cloud, on-prem, EDR, you can see here at the top, everything. We get your logs and flows from your firewalls, your routers, your switches. We get all your servers, all your endpoints. So collecting all the data is very important. You can see the data now flows in, okay? As I go down this pyramid here, it gets enriched. You go time, location, host name. We look for those indicators of compromise I mentioned. So because we built those behavior models, we can now look for every single thing that looks like it's potentially either malicious or different. Just a failed login, a new server accessed, a larger than normal file copy size. All of those things fall into that indicator of compromise bucket. Again, everything I've said so far is happening in software in real time. Okay, so no human has to be involved. You can see on the right all these different engines, and there's one sort of in the middle on the right, the one I highlight the most, the correlation, right? The fact that all that information that was collected is correlated for you, and then an alert is raised once enough is seen. So again, I'm going to highlight that a little bit more when we get into some screenshots of the platform, I think, which are coming up here. Okay, so now these are the screenshots. So this is the highest level, well, actually not quite the highest level, but one of the highest level, go back, I'm sorry, pages. This is showing you, let's say you're an MSP, right? This is showing all of your customers in a single screenshot. You actually have the ability to go one higher level and show a master MSSP dashboard if you wanted to. You could have just all the MSPs on this screen, and then when you clicked into one, you'd go down to an individual tenant. So each one of these is either one location for a particular customer, or it's one customer. And you can see the upper left one here is sort of the one active one here. So basically you see some telemetry, the number of events, how much EPS and so forth, but those colors are important below. You can see some of these are green, which means everything's good. So you get a quick visual. There's no problem here. The one in the upper left is showing you it's got the yellow means minor alerts, the orange means major alerts, and the red means critical alerts. Those are differentiated by what we call confidence score. If we've seen a failed login, okay, that's, we have like 10% confidence that this actually is under attack. It goes into a minor alert bucket. That's important because those are things that are not, they're not raised to you, you don't have to deal with. Okay, you simply have to let the platform do its thing, continue to watch and build. And maybe you see a failed login. Maybe later it sees a new server access. Maybe it sees an IP scan. It's going to start to correlate all those things together into an alert and raise it once it's seen enough. And then it goes to the orange, which becomes major. Once it's major, which for us is over 50% confidence, it's raised. And now you have to deal with it. And as I talked about, deal with it could mean you manually go in, you look at it, which I'll show you, or you can actually tell the platform, don't wait, go ahead and take action. Once it gets past 75%, that probably means you haven't addressed the major alert. It's gone critical now. It's saying, okay, there might be exfiltration in process, there might be encryption in process, so you need to get on it now. The purple one, just FYI, is a system alert. It's not cybersecurity related. It's simply telling you that the platform has detected that one of the sources of data that you're feeding it hasn't shown up in a while. So again, this is providing you a very high level picture of all your different customers, quick visual snapshot. Just as an FYI, the platform will also send an email instantly as soon as an alert is raised. So you get both a visual and a email notification. Next slide, please. Okay, this I wish this was an active dashboard because I could show you a little bit better, but this is we have lots of dashboards. This is what's called the executive dashboard. Yeah, so lots of data here. You can see in the middle of the map is showing you where all the data is flowing to and from for your particular customer or your environment. You can see in the middle there, it says our company. That's basically your collection device, and all the data is flowing in or out of it. So you can see all the different locations where data is coming from in your environment. Over on the right, you've got your EPS showing you hosts. At the bottom is showing you all the different sources of information that you're collecting from. So we've got some firewalls here. We've got NetFlows. We've got what am I looking at? Darktrace. So integrations with lots of different solutions out there that we can ingest data from. But the important thing I like to highlight is these three dials on the left. Okay, this helps highlight the real value proposition. The top one is showing you how many events were captured. You can see right above it, it says 7 days. Right? You can look at any time period you want. This is 7 days. 3.2 billion pieces of information, events, were captured in 7 days. Again, those are all the logs from all your different sources, your EDR telemetry, but it's those net flows as well, right? So all that information was collected over the 7 days. The next dial down is what we call threat indicators. Those are everything I mentioned, a failed login, a privilege escalation, an abnormal file copy size. Everything that was tagged as something that needs to be watched falls into that second bucket. Think about the 19.3 million things that need to be watched in 7 days. Let's go crazy and say it's only 1 million. Okay, this is a 200 person environment typically. Let's say you had only 1 million things that need to be watched. You can't possibly do that without some sort of platform and something, using artificial intelligence. Okay, again, it's an overused term these days, but something that's helping you monitor all that, decide if and when action needs to be taken. Okay, so that's an important part of why you need a platform like this. The amount of data that you're collecting is unbelievable. And again, to be able to detect things early, you have to be collecting that much data. The third dial down is things that were now actually confidence has been raised, and there's enough confidence that now you need to take action. Okay, so this is a platform that we were injecting alerts into, but a typical customer, 200 person customers are going to have 5 or 6 alerts per week. So think about 3 billion things collected, let's say 15 million things that needed to be watched, and you had to deal with 5 alerts. Okay, that's manageable. Next slide, please. Okay, this is an alert. Basically, now a platform has raised an alert, and this is basically showing you a high-level description across the top. If you're familiar with the MITRE ATT&CK framework, those I think they're hexagons, are actually the different what phrase am I looking for? All the different techniques. Okay, so anything that's red is a technique that was used as part of this attack. Below that are all the actual activities that were correlated together by the platform. So you can't see them all here. There were 7 different types of activities, probably a couple of thousand occurrences, and there's some miscellaneous recon, some evasions. All of that stuff, instead of a human having to see it and decide if it was something that was relevant and something worth watching, the platform's doing it for you. Again, saving you time, saving you money. The graph at the bottom, I think, tells a nice picture, which is showing you that across time, so you can see back on 10, my glasses aren't working here, but 10.5, I think, some first activity was detected. The confidence score was raised to about 40%, which is a minor alert. You don't have to deal with it. But now, over time, each day we see a few things. Some days we don't see anything. But each day we add whatever we see and keep watching. And again, this is a minor alert. And you can see around 10:28-ish, 10:28, 10:29, it jumped up in confidence. Now it became a major alert. Now you have to deal with it. Okay? So this is the power of the platform. It's doing this for you. Next slide. If let's say your staff isn't as seasoned and they couldn't have correlated all that data or understood all that data from the last slide, you can push. There was a button at the top of that last slide called Sarah AI. You push it. It now gives you a very human readable version of that alert. Okay, so you can read through it. It'll go all the way down to, it's much longer than the screen, but it would show you at the bottom the mitigation steps. It would show you the attack technique. It might show you who the attack source was. Next slide. Okay, so some of the key functionality in the platform that I just want to highlight. We have business intelligence, BI 360 functionality. That functionality is very important in terms of creating custom reports, creating custom dashboards, and one of the really important areas it's used is compliance. Okay, so you can go in and create compliance reports, whatever you need. And you can see here, we've got them for 2701, PCI, DSS, NIST, and so forth. And there's lots of others. And you can create your own using this intelligence. And the same thing with the reports and the dashboards. You can go in, create what you need, and set rules so that it can actually do the monitoring for you. Next slide. We have vulnerability scanning. I mean, a lot of people already use tools like Qualys and Nessus. We have our own vulnerability scanning built into the platform if you need it. And we've also added external scanning. You can see here the dark web monitoring and CV-based vulnerabilities and so forth. So we do an external scan and an internal scan, and all that adds up to basically a security posture score. You can see that little dial there in the screen. That will give you like a FICO score. Okay, and that's very helpful for if you're trying to get cyber insurance, if you're trying to meet some sort of compliance audit. It's the ability to show that you're taking action and where you stand is a powerful thing. Next slide. We also have functionality. So the platform, as I showed you in one of those earlier slides, wants to collect data from all your different sources. But if you only have data in the cloud, then what we want to do is we have a simpler version that you can install much more quickly and basically get everything up and running, within minutes. So this is for cloud-only based solutions. Next slide. We also have our own EDR. We will ingest telemetry from anybody else at CrowdStrike or SentinelOne, but if you don't have one and you need one, we have it built in as well. It's obviously very tightly integrated. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here and just say, the platform ideally is providing you, the ability to have everything in a single platform, so a single screen, cost-effective pricing based on assets, not ingested data. We've mentioned the real-time threat detection and response, the fastest possible decisions, and then taking action. Again, if you actually wanted to get into a deeper demo, you could see the ability to dive in and find any particular event you were looking for. So very effective at data analysis analytics and threat hunting. And then it scales. It can scale to as large an environment as you have. The platform is based on container functionality, so you can actually just continue to add servers horizontally and scale up as you need. Hopefully that was a useful overview, and I want to hand it off to Geoff now. I think I've taken my allotted time. So thank you for your attention.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom. And I guess thank you for everybody dialing in today as well. It is appreciated. I guess the first thing for me to say is the session is called Beyond EDR, and I think that's very valid up until this point. For me, I'd like to now sort of call that Beyond the SOC, because what we're doing here is we're taking everything that Dom's highlighted and those concerns within the industries and the environments, and we're also taking everything that Tom's just introduced to you and the technologies and the platform. We're then wrapping this together and building this within our own SOC team. So we're offering more than a SOC. We look at some other partners out there and MSSPs and vendors, and the SOC is purely the SOC. It's the team, it's the people utilizing the existing environment. What we're doing here is we're taking the Seceon solution, we're wrapping it with our service, and at that point in time, we're offering that as a service built into multiple service levels. So Don, my first slide, please. What we can see here is where I'm talking about. We built our offering. So we built this with the Seceon team over 12 months ago. And again, it was something that we got into to enable our channel and enable our partners. We're not there to try and compete with the channel. We're there to enable them. So what we've done is we've taken the technology, we've heard our customers, we've heard where the challenges and the pain points are. And at that point in time, we focused on the platform, and that is predominantly the Seceon environment. We've then taken the processes. We've built our own processes from the ground up. We've utilized industry standard training and education, as well as the vendor technologies, and built our own processes. And we've then got our people. I've been in the business 12 plus years now, and we have always been in-house 24/7, 365, enabling the channel. And what we've done over the last few years is start to not just evolve that from a NOC into a SOC, but enhance our NOC, and alongside that build a SOC. And this time our SOC is focused and manned by our in-house analysts. So we've got the platform, the process, and the people. What we've then done is we've then started to, in the next slide, please, Dom, you will start to see we've taken those three pillars and we've listened to the channel and our customers and understood that in actual fact, some people may want to take on all three of those pillars from us and allow us to support them. Others are at the beginning or partway through a journey themselves. And that journey is to become an MSSP offering these services themselves. And so this is exactly what we've listened to, and this is what we've achieved. So the three service levels you can see here, being SOC Advanced, SOC Standard, and Platform Standard, allows our customer and yourself to take as much or as little as required in order to offer this great technology and this great service out to your end users. So when we look at the SOC Advanced, we can look at this as the Rolls-Royce platform. This is where you take everything. Across the top, you'll see spanning all three service levels are all the different technologies that Tom has been speaking about. So regardless of the service level from Exertis you take, you get the technology included. What we're then saying is under SOC Advanced and SOC Standard, we will then start to offer our 24/7 services. We will utilize our people and our processes. So much so with the advanced and the standard, we're also including and within platform simple ICMP monitoring. So we're looking at monitoring availability of the device, but also the SOC service and the traffic that's passing through and looking for any threats and detecting those and acting upon them. Our analysts will then be looking at all of the logs. They'll be looking at the dashboards that Tom's just shown you. The dashboard has been created in such a way where it's multi-tenanted and multi-tiered. So for your customers, we can then start to provide you access and your end user access as well to view their limited subset and data only, but giving you the ability to see all your client data. However, our team are running this. Our team are acting upon the alerts. They are validating any automated responses. They are building the playbooks. We're also wrapping in here the reporting, the custom reports for you, technical account managers, monthly service reviews, working with you and your customer to understand what's the plan and strategy for your organization, and let's make sure we're evolving with you and we're aware of what's coming as well as what's happening. If so, let's say somebody then said, you know what, actually, I want to reduce that and start to add some more value myself, that's fine. That's where SOC standard comes into play. You still get the whole technology stack. You still get the ability for the threat investigations, the hunting, the custom runbooks, the CCE, that's the on-site collector deployment, and the central platform, the OTM environment configuration. But then we can reduce those extra areas and those services, allowing you to add some of that value yourself. And then we've got our platform standard, and our platform standard is now saying you can do as much of the people and the process as you wish, but we will fully support you when it comes to the platform. And when I say support, that's not just providing it to you, but that's also actually providing you true technical support and break fix 24/7, 365. So your team have got somebody to lean upon. And those people are also analysts offering our service. So they are the best in the industry on this technology, helping you along the way. This is something that can be evolved over time. You could start with advanced and reduce it. It could be that at the moment somebody needs advanced and they decide they want to stay that way. That's fine. As Tom quite rightly said earlier, we look at endpoint or device and user, okay, and the SOC service is priced in exactly the same way. So we're really keeping it simple and keeping it in line with the vendor offering. Again, having listened to our customers and listened to what the channel are requesting. If you could flick on, please, Tom. We've then got our responses slides and SLAs, and this is something that I wanted to include just to give people the confidence as well. So the table on the right, on the face of it, looks quite simple, but it is divided into two halves. So what we've got here is we've got for a P1 and a P2, we define a P1 is a critical alert on critical assets. A P2, one or more critical alerts, along with major alerts as well, but they may not be on critical assets. This can be customized. This can be tailored depending on your environment. We also work closely with all partners and end users at the beginning of any deployment to understand their environment and their organization. What happens at this customer site? What happens at that site? What hours do they work? So we can then start to have that full understanding of the environment and the devices, as well as classifying the alerts and classifying the assets themselves. So as I said, on the table on the right, first two columns are the remediation and the response time. So if it's an automated response time, as Tom's been mentioning, then that is a near real-time response time. If for whatever reason there isn't an automated response and we are then, and our analysts are implementing a remediation, then that sits within a 30-minute response time. And again, if you look at a lot of the different offerings out there, and also you look at the different accreditation requirements and certification requirements, our response times have been built in line with this to ensure that we're not just hitting those marks, we're well achieving them for you as well and overachieving those. We then have our remediation analysis. So even if it's an automated remediation, our SOC analysts are then going to be doing a remediation analysis and providing you that report. This comes with a 2-hour SLA, along with a 2-hour SLA for the SOC analyst to do the analysis of a manual remediation. So again, they're right up there, and we're making sure that we're protecting your assets, protecting your customer environments as quick as possible, and providing that extra layer of feedback, and then working and learning, and then making sure that we're feeding this information back into the engine, so that the next time something comes through, the system may identify it quicker. We know there's previously been an issue. We've already remediated that. Where something else Tom mentioned was about ingestion as well. We do have options to be added on and bolt-ons, like EDR clients Tom mentioned, but also long-term storage. So some industries require a long-term storage. This is something we can work with you. We can provide the long-term storage itself, as well as the technical configuration and the platform licensing. But we have some clients where we utilize their storage, or they have a cloud service already and we feed into that, but then we'll query it for any reporting that's required in the future. Something for me is to make sure that off the back of this, we communicate. I think there'll be a QR code in a minute where we can start to look at offering either trials of the platform or POCs of the SOC service as well. So I'd really appreciate it if we can follow up this conversation a bit more in depth to your specific requirements. Thank you, Dom.
Thank you very much, Geoff, and thank you, Tom, as well. That does bring us to the end of today's session. So thank you very much for joining us. It is much appreciated. And What I hope that you leave with is certainly a clear understanding of Seceon. More importantly, how we are delivering our managed SOC platform as well, and services down to our channel partners that can simplify security operations whilst improving the protection and detection of those environments. So, as Geoff has said, if you would like to explore how this could work for your organization, then we'd absolutely love to continue the conversation. And the best next step is to book a one-to-one session with our team. So we can walk you through the platform, we can assess your current setup, and then we can show you how Exertis and Seceon can support your cybersecurity goals. So there is a QR code on the screen that you'll see. And then if you scan that, fill in your details, then we can get back in touch with you, or feel free to reach out directly after the session to the team. So just looking at the Q&A, there are a couple of questions which have been sent in, guys. So I just want to quickly cover them off whilst we've got a bit of time left. So one of them is, I've got quite a lot of my own infrastructure already. How does Seceon play into the infrastructure that I've already got today? Don't know who wants to make that up.
Yeah, I can grab that. So we've already built, I don't know, a couple of hundred different integrations with either APIs or just by collecting, parsers for just different syslogs. So we've integrated with lots of different solutions out there, and we have a team that it's their full-time job to do future integration. So whatever you're currently using, whether it's a different firewall, a different PSA tool, whatever it might be, we are probably already integrated, and if we're not, we can do it very quickly.
And just to add on there, Dom, if you don't mind, exactly as Tom said, there's a dedicated team for those. We've got two types of integration. We've got APIs, the bi-directional, but then there's also, as Tom mentioned, the log parsing, that is an integration. This is something that a handful of times now, customers we've been working with and then have a requirement. We submit some log samples through, and we work and run this on behalf of the client. And generally, we get those configured up and running and available extremely quickly, and they then become available to the rest of the client base. So yeah, I don't want that to be a concern for anybody.
Cool, thank you. And then the next one is I'm an SMB or MSP partner. Let me just have a look. Sorry, MSP partner. Can I afford it? I guess I'll pick that one up. So hopefully throughout today's session, you've sort of picked up that not only what Seceon has built as an all-in-one complete platform, but also what we're delivering as a managed SOC service, is that it's essentially been built to enable our channel partners. So you'll see where Geoff went through the various tiered model. There's an option for everybody. So it doesn't matter whether you're at the start of your SOC journey and looking to outsource and de-risk and utilize the entirety of our service offering, or maybe whether you are just a platform as a service play where you've actually already got your in-house engineers and the skill and expertise to manage this level of security platform. There are options or multiple options for lots of different people, and it's very quick to scale as well. So what we'll do as part of the follow-ups that we have with individuals is we'll show you that scale, so we can go from 5 users right up to as far as you want to go on that platform. As Tom alluded to, it's modular in terms of its scaling from a horizontal perspective. So and it's, again, touching on one of Tom's points around that ingestion charge or the ingress and egress of data. We often see that as a bit of a crippler when speaking with partners around SIEM or SOC or XDR platforms that they're using. The charges often outweigh the value that they get back, and that's precisely why Seceon have gone down a user count route instead. And as Geoff said, we've mimicked that and passed that down as well. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. And then the third and final one that I've got that's come through, controversial one, so I'm interested to see or hear this from Tom. is Seceon isn't mentioned in any of the Gartner Magic Quadrants around what we've just spoken about. Why is that?
Sure. Well, if you look into the Gartner quadrants, what you'll find is there's one for many different categories. There's EDR, there's SIM, there's SOAR. The challenge there is Seceon does not fit any one of those quadrants, right? We go across many. So, finding where we fit has been a challenge. We were actually at the Gartner conference down in Maryland last week, working with them to try to come up with a way to get ourselves, more visible in Gartner. But that's the primary reason today. We are so all encompassing that we don't fit into any one of their buckets.
Great answer. Thank you very much. And I guess one to watch with you saying that you've just come back from the Gartner conference as well. So I can't see any more questions. As I've said, thank you very much for everybody that's joined us today. It is really appreciated. And the team will, of course, be following up. If you want to get ahead of that, then absolutely book a one-to-one session using the QR code that's on the screen. So again, thank you everybody for attending. Thank you to our speakers as well, Tom and Geoff, super insightful. And yeah, I guess stay secure, and we look forward to speaking to you all again soon. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.